Welcome to the first sales training for the EMEA MRPP partner community. My name is Robert Karlsson, and I'm one of the partner technology strategists in EMEA, covering for the MRPP partners that we have here, doing trainings, upskilling from a sales and technical perspective, and also working with you in different opportunities where needed. It's our pleasure to have you here and also to have Mo in this meeting. So, Mo.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Robert. And hello, everyone. My name is Mo. I am, again, the second partner technical strategist for the EMEA region, working very closely with Robert and working very closely with you, our awesome MRPP partners. So, yeah, our roles and responsibilities are effectively to ensure everybody understands what Microsoft Teams Rooms is and what the Microsoft marketing messages are, especially in this new hybrid way of working. And of course, we wanted to put together these monthly sales trainings. And the idea is throughout the year, we'll be providing inside information, giving you all the latest information around Microsoft Teams Rooms and some additional information that you'll see coming up later in the year as well. So again, thank you so much for joining. I will come back to this in a second, and I will hand you back over to Robert to run through the agenda. And yeah, I'll jump back in a second. Thank you.
So today we will have the first one, as we said, and this is really to get you up to speed about the value proposition of Teams Rooms, how we position it, what's the different pillars of security, features, inclusiveness, how we are really building this ecosystem of great devices out there for you. We'll divide it into two sessions. So we'll have a first session and then we'll have a short break so that you have the possibility to go get yourself another cup of coffee or a mug of tea. And then we'll continue for about 45 minutes. In the end, we'll also have some call to actions and also open up the floor for questions. But also feel free to put questions in the chat or raise your hand, as we said in the beginning. For us, this is very important to be able to talk to you and have engagement with you. And this is a part of our program, which we are calling the Sirius program. A Sirius, why that name? Well, it's the brightest star in the sky, and that's what we also would like you to be when you have your conversations with the customers, to be there, to be educated, to be able to deliver the message about why Teams Rooms is that solution that will support and help our customers to have the best experience of Teams and Teams meetings. And in this program, we have a lot of different activities, and we are doing this in the learn phase, where Mo and myself really would like to get you the best knowledge and have the presentations available also for you to use when you have customers and customer discussions. Then we'll also have other activities. So we have this demo platform as an example, where you will be able to get access to a resource account with the right set of features, and also to be able to do demos with your customers. So we'll also have trainings for you coming up later in April and May, where we will teach you or we will show you at least how we are doing these trainings for our partner meetings, and that you could do the same for your customer meetings. Which tools we're using, how we are positioning the different features of a Teams Rooms device, and really show you our best practices. And then we have a lot of engagements also from a sales and activities perspective from our colleagues in the team, working with you, driving your customer activities or marketing activities. So this program is really our commitment from the EMEA team towards you in the MRPP channel. Today, we will focus on the overall sales training about Microsoft Teams Rooms. I think this is very important for us to set the base foundation of how Microsoft is positioning these features and functions as a value for your customers. What are the benefits of driving the discussion into Teams Rooms instead of perhaps talking about bring your own device? How is the security standpoint? What are the things that we are building into this for you to have the conversation of really making the customer feel confident in that this is a secure solution that will be easy to use and easy to manage for them. This also, of course, combines with the technical sessions that we also will have. So every other week, as we said in the beginning, there will be a technical and then a sales session. So in 2 weeks, we will have our first technical session, a bit more specific, a bit more deep dive, telling the story about different aspects of resource accounts or security measurements or networking build outs and such, really to give you that also bit deeper understanding of this. And this material, of course, also is in very close collaboration with the Cork team. So if you haven't been taking the Teamsrooms bootcamps, please sign up for those as well. And I would say that we are doing this to be able to really focus on the different topics in also having perhaps a bit more detailed discussion with you regarding these topics in this a bit smaller format than the large webinar bootcamps. So in this, we talk about the hybrid work. Why is the new way of working so important for the meeting room discussion? How have we changed this behavior since the start of the pandemic, and what are the new ways of working that we see going forward? We'll be positioning the Teamsrooms devices from the value proposition of that being inclusive, easy to use for the customers, flexible, there's a solution for all room types, all meeting styles and such, but also last but not least of any sorts, the security management part. How to take care of them, how to make sure that they are always updated, ready to go, and also with the latest security patches and such. We'll go in a bit into the licensing and management part, not deep dive into it, but talk about how it's structured and also how to interact with other platforms that is not Teams platform. And then in the end, a few resources for you to go and look at and to find more information and deep dive on. So that's the agenda for today, and we'll start, I think, with the hybrid work discussion. So Mo, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Robert. I will just take control real quick and run you guys through it. So the last thing I want to do is really teach you guys to suck eggs, right? I don't want to tell you about what's happened with COVID and everything. We've heard it so much over the last couple of years. But really what we're starting to see right now is customers now coming over to us as resellers and saying, hey, look, we need to sort our rooms out. And this particular slide that you see in front of you really puts it into perspective. So at the very beginning of 2020, when COVID first kicked in, most organizations were kind of in this, what we call respond phase, where everybody was panicking, trying to grab hold of every single laptop and webcam and chair out there just to stay connected and to be able to work from home. Fast forward to today, and we see most organizations are kind of in this recovery mode or reimagine mode, in between both of them. What is our strategy for the immediate future? Now that we are opening up our doors and people are now starting to return back to the office, what is our strategy right now short term? But then more importantly, how do we gear ourselves up for this new world of work, which is what we call hybrid work? And hybrid work is pretty much here to stay, right? If you're anything like me, over the last 2 years, 99% of all of my work has been done from here, working from home. It's been so busy that, in fact, I've had to now go ahead and book toilet breaks because I can't get time to go to the toilet because my diary just gets completely rammed. I feel I'm more efficient. I feel I'm doing a lot more work, but also I have to now balance work and life because, as an example, we're on Easter weekend. My children are in the back. There's a good chance they're going to come barging in the door, but we've just had to kind of manage the way we do things. Now, as COVID has started to kind of open up now and we're starting to return back into work, we now start to look at the different trends that are starting to happen in terms of how we work. We've completely changed the way we work. Nobody wants to work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, sitting at the same desk anymore. Nobody wants to do that. We're seeing organizations now telling their staff members, hey, look, 30% of your work week or 2 days a week, you need to be working from the office, and the remainder you pick and choose where you want to work. There is one problem, however. We're now starting to see inequality happening inside of workplaces. So, for example, while we've been working from home, Teams has evolved in such a way it's become a great tool. We've added a whole bunch of new features over the last 2 years, new views and live reactions and stuff. It's become very easy for people to be able to work at home. But then when we start to go back to the office and we go into these meeting rooms that maybe haven't been refreshed in a few years, and we try joining into those meetings, the experience is not very good. The experience isn't the same as working from home. And we find a lot of people now say to us, hey, look, I'm better off working from home because I actually get better experience on Teams. So moving forward, how do we ensure that equal footing? Because some people will be joining meetings remotely and others will be physically there in the room. And we're seeing around 99% of all meetings will have at least one remote participant joining it. So the question is, are you ready for hybrid work? And when we talk to our customers, most of our customers will generally just come up to us and say, hey, Mo, hey, Rob, we need to sort our meeting rooms out. And that's pretty much the amount of information we get. But actually, we need to ask them, are they ready for the hybrid workplace? How are they returning back to work? What is their digital transformation practices that they have in place? Because things like flexible work environments, things like collaboration then become quite critical. Are we kitted out enough to ensure that we can provide sufficient collaboration, sufficient workplace environments, knowing that hybrid work is pretty much here to stay. And of course, across here, we look at more hybrid meetings, which means more rooms. And Robert, I'd love to get your thoughts on what you think about this particular slide here.
Well, I think that the pandemic and also the post-pandemic world has really showed us that we need to think about what are we going to do in the rooms, and how should we perhaps also consider not using rooms but using spaces even, because I think we're moving into some more open offices that we would like to be in and would like to meet people, but we also need then to find some space where we can have our meetings. And so what we're seeing is that we really need to find a definition many times of what are we going to do in these rooms or spaces. And I think that the initial thinking has been a lot of having video meetings, and people were dialing in perhaps previously and had some sort of experience of being remote into these meetings, but it was more like someone was presenting and someone was doing that sharing of knowledge, and then we had a discussion around that. So I think that's the traditional one. What we have seen, of course, the last years is that we also need to care for these more work style that are creative, there we need to do some work together. But in a hybrid world, this must include the people who's not in that physical space. So we need to find ways to have a creative space that also brings in the people who's not joining the office. So I think that's the major change. So the meet and co-create work style, I think, is something that we really need to think through. And just going back to what I've experienced when we are building offices, building and equipping an office 2 years ago, and comparing to do that thinking again today might be something different, because we need more smaller meeting rooms to facilitate that. When we go to the office, we would like to have this good meeting experiences somewhere in the office, and perhaps not being that 10 or 15 people in those rooms. So we also need to think, do we have enough meeting spaces in the office, and do they care also for different work styles? And the third thing here is also that we have seen that many times when our organizations, our companies that we work with, have standardized out of Teams as a platform, they can also use that platform to do their webinars, to do their presentation towards customers and partners. So also to have facilities or spaces or rooms that are equipped for the meet and broadcast, I think is also something to consider. How to help the customer to build out that features, to use Teams still, Teams meetings, but scale it like one-to-many sessions instead of smaller meetings. So I think we have got more things to consider. It's not revolutionary, but we need to think through, do we care for those who's not physically there? Because that will still be, I would think, the new way of working going forward. And to think, do we care for the right type of work styles in those? And I think we will come back to this later on as well, when we talk about the matrix of building different room types and use cases for our customers.
And I think, just to add to this, Rob, and for the guys that are on the call, this is quite an important piece. A lot of customers don't actually know what they need to do in terms of meeting room spaces, because we've never been in a position like this before. So, as MRPP partners, as Microsoft, as resellers, we should be the market leaders, the thought leaders, to guide and help our customers to understand what is hybrid work, how is hybrid work affecting the world, and how they should position Teams rooms or position meeting rooms across there. And that's exactly what we'll be learning about today.
Yeah, so let's start talk about the positioning of Teams rooms and how that also plays into the perhaps a bit larger ecosystem of Teams devices, because we have a lot of different Teams devices that are Teams certified. That might be for personal use, so that might be used in different home office environments or different use cases. But across this, a Teams certified device should bring a familiarity. It should be something that is easy to recognize no matter what type of use case it's tailored for. So as an example, we have the Teams client on the PC, the Teams client on my phone, iOS or Android, and the Teams client in a meeting room. It should be similar experience. It's not the same because we're using it for different use cases, but it should be something that's easy to recognize for the person who enters that meeting room, who joins that meeting from his or her phone as such. So we have the familiarity and security ourselves to go into that room and press that button as an example. It should also be something that brings more value than just a device. So as an example, Teams certified headset has a Teams button on it, and that could then be used for different scenarios on interacting with the platform, like Cortana, or like adding or getting the Teams client to pop up as an example. So we're bringing the combination of our platform, the hardware from a vendor, and also the software from a vendor into a great experience when we're combining this as a part of the team certification. And speaking about the team certification is also something that also is a quality stamp, because for a partner to become team certified, there's a lot of different use cases that the device need to be put through and be tested in, and then to be validated to have that high standard of quality. And if a camera should be used in a home office setting, a small meeting room setting, or being a part of a very large room, then the camera needs to have different capabilities to be able then to pass these tests and to be certified. So just being Teams certified is a quality stamp by its own. And then the devices that we have for the meeting rooms that are Teams certified will also be a part of the Teams admin center experience. So when you go into the Teams admin center, you can search for Teams rooms on Windows, Teams rooms on Android, Surface Hubs, Teams phones, Teams panels, Teams displays. They're all there, and it's easy for you as a customer or for you as a partner to support your customers on that journey to manage these devices. So it really is something that we bring quality stamp for. We test it together with our partners. We make sure that it's a more of a plug and play experience than just any device in that room or at your as a headset and such. And then we divide it into different use cases. So we have shared devices that we have in the rooms, like the Teams rooms devices on Android and Windows, or the Surface Hubs. And then we have the personal devices that we're using from the home office or on the go and such. We also divide them into that. Speaking of the Teams certified room devices, they bring a certain set of tools and features, and we will go through these in detail a bit later on. But the main thing here is that should be easy to use for the end customer, the person who enters the rooms. It should be something that you also, from an admin perspective, have easy usage of, controlling them, setting them up, updating them. We have the flexibility to have a device that fits for every need, either from a room perspective, size-wise, or how many people you have in that room, or from a use case perspective, to fit for that need to be perhaps a moving stand so that you can roll around your device, your Surface Hub as an example, or the new Teams boards coming from certain vendors that you can really have moving around for different use cases. And I would say that the security management piece is actually the most important one, to really make sure that these devices are updated and taken care of. Because if you compare this with having just any device, anything that's USB connected. There's so many benefits of having a Teams client-based solution in your meeting rooms. And that's what we would like to really deliver for you today. So the unpredictability of having a USB device that you might not take care of, update and manage from a central perspective, then being connected to a PC that could be any sort of PC with drivers that are not optimized perhaps for this use case. The vulnerability of not really owning this experience from one central point of view and taking care of all these updates and management. I think just these things makes the value to have a Teams Rooms device in your rooms is so much more. But we will go through all these details in a bit, and I think this is just the beginning of saying that Microsoft's standpoint is really to have the conversation around certified devices that are tailored for Teams Rooms, and that is the best experience for our customers. And we build this out of 4 value pillars. And I've been touching upon this, and Mo, you will get a bit deeper into those as well. But the first one is the inclusiveness. As I've said in just a few slides ago, it's about bringing the experience to life in a way that the end users understand and feel confident about, to be able to have these meetings in a simple way. Just go into the room, click join, everything just come to life. Not having to attach any cables, not having to understand different use cases or different ways of interacting with these, depending what room you're in. Also the flexibility, of course, and we will go through different room sizes and building out a matrix. But I think having these but having these many different vendors and different types of devices really brings that value for a customer to choose. I could find a solution that really fits my investment needs, my how it should look and feel, and also how the features are for just my way of doing this, and the security, of course. So I would like to hand it over to you back again, Mo, to talk about the inclusiveness and the features that we're bringing to the Teams Rooms devices.
Absolutely, thank you. And inclusiveness is really, really important right now in this new hybrid way of working. You know, at the minute, it's a better experience sitting at home. So what is Microsoft doing in this space for meeting rooms to ensure that hybrid work becomes, you know, the best that we can possibly make it, but more importantly, to deliver inclusiveness and interactive meetings for everyone across there. And the way we are starting to achieve that is we've actually introduced a brand new video layout, which is called Front Row. And hopefully you would have heard about it or seen about it already. It's been the talk of the last few months. And you should see a little video running on screen right now. But what is Front Row? Front Row is designed to foster that deeper sense of connection with remote attendees. We're well aware that inside of a meeting room space, it's not you know, a great experience, but we are changing that, and we absolutely have changed that with Front Row. And with Front Row, we're bringing across some great innovations designed for larger screens, which really make the experience and provides equality for all inside of that meeting space. And what you'll see, you know, on the video is Front Row can actually be deployed across different size and different types of rooms as well. The first thing that you'll notice is more lifelike size images across the bottom of people that are remote. And that kind of fosters that deeper sense of connection. We're also recommending cameras are placed at eye level. So for example, let me give you an example right now. So I'm using a 38-inch screen and Robert is down here in the corner. So if I'm looking at Robert, I'm looking away and it doesn't quite feel natural when I'm talking. However, when I'm looking directly at the screen and directly at the camera, you then bring in that sense of human connection and emotional connections across them. And again, you know, as part of design guidance, we recommend that cameras are placed at eye level, and then combined with the more lifelike size images of people running across the bottom, it feels like you're physically there in the room. You're actually talking to people. In future updates, we're also going to be bringing what we call spatial audio. So for example, if Zoe is on the right-hand side of the screen and she starts talking, her voice will come out from the right-hand side of the screen. We're bringing the advent of intelligent cameras. So a lot of our OEM partners are starting to bring intelligent cameras to market. And very soon we'll have updates which will effectively identify my actions. So if I raise my hand, it will know I'm raising my hand and actually add it as a live reaction inside there. But let's take a closer look at what Front Row really looks like. If you don't know already, Front Row is available today in preview mode. So on your Microsoft Teams Rooms device, the next time you're in a call, you can actually select this grid button down here, which is the video layout button, and you'll notice Front Row will pop up. In fact, what it will look like is it will look like this. It will say Front Row in preview mode. So as long as you've got more than one person on the call, you'll be able to just initiate Front Row preview. Now, what does it look like? With Front Row, and this is based around a single screen, the first thing that you'll notice is we now have chat functionality here on the right-hand side. So previously in the past, if people outside of the meeting room were using chat on their laptops and on their phones, people inside of the meeting room wouldn't really be able to follow along the conversation because it never showed up on a Microsoft Teams Rooms device. Now, however, chat on Front Row is showed up here on the right-hand side. So you can absolutely follow along the conversation that's going on inside of the room. Of course, here in the middle, you have the presentation or whatever's being presented shared across there. And then here on the left-hand side, what you'll notice is today in preview mode, we have raised hands. So whoever has raised their hand in the order that they raise their hand, that will effectively show here on the left-hand side. In the very near future, I mean, this is just preview mode, right? In the very near future, we'll be updating Front Row with more features, and we're bringing in Microsoft Loop components, which means things like meeting room notes and meeting room agenda and those types of items, lists and that sort of thing, you know, we'll be able to absolutely add here on the left-hand side. And then, of course, down here at the bottom. Here at the bottom on a single screen layout, we'll provide you with 4 lifelike size images running across the bottom. And these are designed to be a lot larger and combined with intelligent cameras will give you a great experience. And we'll talk a bit about intelligent cameras in a second. You'll also get the view of the room running here. And they effectively run in what we call a carousel mode. So whoever starts talking then comes on screen and then vanishes off, etc., etc. Now, you may notice on my virtual background that we've actually got black background. That's coming later this year. But for now, in preview mode, currently, this is the view we have. Now, what happens in dual screen mode? We always try and recommend to our customers, wherever possible, wherever space permits, try and go 2 screens. 2 screens is better than 1, and it provides a lot more real estate for customers to be able to use. So as an example across here with Front Row and in dual screen mode, we actually can provide a lot more videos. So you'll get 9 videos running across the bottom down here. You can have presentation on one of the screens, and it's a lot larger, remember? And then, of course, you can pin the active speaker onto the second screen. So really, the experience becomes so much more better when you've got dual screens running. And you'll see it here on my virtual background as well. So it's a better experience when you've got dual screens. Now, yes, you can use a single screen. We recommend go as large as possible. So if you're using a 55-inch screen inside of the room, go to 86-inch screen because you want the experience to be great, especially with the size of fonts that come up with the chat across here as well. We'll also enable it to work with short form projectors and video walls. So you are absolutely able to use different display configurations when you're using Front Row. Now, key thing to remember, Front Row isn't suitable for every single type of room. Front Row, in essence, is just a video layout. It will work today with any hardware, so on Windows. So as long as you're using a Microsoft Teams Rooms device on Windows, even if it's a 2-year-old device, Front Row is enabled and will work on those devices. You can, of course, enhance the Front Row experience by bringing in more up-to-date hardware. For example, intelligent cameras and intelligent speakers. So we have from our OEM partners intelligent cameras, and the 2 at the minute is Poly E70 and the Jabra Panicast 50, I believe it is. And in a sense, these intelligent cameras, as an example, you'll see on this GIF, there's a room full of 4 people. And what this camera will do is it will effectively know that there's 4 people here. It will zoom into each 4 person and provide you with an individual video feed for each one of those people. And then in the future, we'll unlock the firmware which will allow for identification, visual identification. So what will happen is if Robert is in that call, Robert would have done a one-time enrollment using Teams. And when it sees Robert, it will actually know it's Robert and actually put it at the bottom with his name to say, hey, Robert's inside the call, and provide him with his own video layout as well across there. We do have many OEM partners in the process of certification, in the process of working through intelligent cameras. So yes, we have the 2 right now, but there are a lot more coming later down the line as well. Robert, was there anything you wanted to add to this? No, awesome, cool. So front row is amazing, and of course, if you haven't tried it out already, I highly recommend you try it. Do it on a large screen as possible. If you run into any issues, do let us know. Remember, it is in preview mode. The one thing that I would say is make sure your scaling is at 100%. Normally, scaling is default like 200, 300%. Make it to 100%. Everything will fit on the screen. But of course, front row is just one part of it. What we want to do is ensure that we provide great experiences inside of a meeting room space as well. Robert, are you okay just to handle, just to speak on this for 1 second? I've got my kids knocking like crazy in the back, so I just want to see what's going on.
You see something was going on there. So yeah, of course. And what I might add perhaps also then regarding the front row and intelligent cameras is also that I've received some feedback of that partners and customers are mixing it up a bit. So how I would like to position it is that the front row is really for the people who's in the room to have the best experience of the meeting and all the participants who's joining from other places and spaces. And the intelligent cameras and other features that we talk about also will really bring the experience from the room to all the participants who's joining that meeting, having like the best experience. Because if you're perhaps having this very long table and people sit and quite with quite a lot of space between them, it might be difficult to see who is in that room and to understand or to see activities. But with the intelligent cameras, we can really make use of the fantastic devices that our partners are bringing to frame them and to size them into the right framing and how to say the visual thing that we see in the meeting, so that we think that they're all sitting at the same level, at the same angle, and also from the same space from the camera. So I think the intelligent cameras will be fantastic as we move along with all the enhancements. So cameras for the people who's joining, and the front row for the people who is in the actual room. And I guess that you have solved the issue in your room, so you can continue.
I have, yes. And again, team, apologies for that. Yeah, hey, welcome to hybrid work, right? This is what hybrid work's all about. Trying to juggle family as well as working from home. So classic example going on there. So thank you for that, Robert. So looking at this slide is really about increasing engagement. So, with Microsoft Teams Rooms devices, there's a whole range of different options that we have made available. For example, we have what we call proximity join. So if you're running through the corridors at work, trying to find a quiet place to actually go ahead and continue your meeting, just before you start your meeting, you can actually search for available Teams rooms nearby. And if there's a Teams rooms that's free and available, it will pop up and it will say, hey, room 101 is available. You simply go ahead and add that meeting, and it will transfer your call from your phone or your tablet or your laptop directly inside of that room. Of course, you can also do a different way. So if you already have a Teams meeting room and you've got a large table and you're sitting right at the back, you can use your phone or your tablet or your laptop and dial into that same meeting that the MTR is dialed into. Your phone or your tablet will know that you're in the meeting, and it will automatically mute its cameras, mics, and speakers. But it will give you a whole bunch of brand new options. So it creates an identity, but then it allows you to do things like start recording, to do live reactions, to kick off the Microsoft whiteboard if you really wanted to start off room remote. So we effectively let you dial into a meeting using Microsoft products, a laptop, a tablet, a phone, doesn't matter. And we start bringing in more experiences. It's what we call companion experiences. Now, of course, when we look at meeting rooms, we could really go ahead and enhance meeting rooms by bringing in additional components. And bringing in additional components can really enhance a meeting room in various different ways. And of course, remember, the most important part, which is where you guys are the specialists, is the site survey piece. What types of meetings are actually taking place inside of that meeting room space. That then allows you to provide them, one, the relevant information, do we need repeater screens, do we need Surface Hub, do we need intelligent cameras, intelligent speakers, etc. And it enables you to be able to provide the relevant and right information for that particular customer. So looking at the screen right now, we have, unlocking more capabilities by bringing in additional components. And one of my personal favorites is actually bringing in a Surface Hub. I used to work for the Surface Hub team back in the day. And actually what Microsoft has done is made sure that Surface Hub and Microsoft Teams Rooms are not competitive devices. They're not pitched against each other. In fact, they work better together. Some customers that want to do collaboration and nothing but collaboration, a Surface Hub may be the ideal solution for them. Whereas for most of the customers out there that need great audio video experiences, a Microsoft Teams Rooms device may be the best experience out there. But you combine the both together and you get the best of both worlds. And it's what we call coordinated meetings. So let me give you an example. Let's imagine you're in a medium size or a large size meeting. You've already kitted out the room with a relevant Microsoft Teams Rooms device. You've got a screen up there, you've got the cameras, mics, and speakers all set up ready. And tucked away in the corner, you've got a Surface Hub. Now, when a user walks into the room, they, of course, will see the calendar on the Microsoft Teams Rooms device. As soon as they walk in and they go ahead and they hit that join button, the Microsoft Teams Rooms device fires up its cameras, mics, and speakers, and automatically dials in the Surface Hub into that room. The Surface Hub knows it's part of a room with a Microsoft Teams Rooms device, so it mutes its cameras, mics, and speakers, so there's no interference, no howling, none of that. But Surface Hub knows that actually Surface Hub is better at collaboration. I've got the world's best whiteboard on the Surface Hub, so it automatically kicks off the Microsoft Whiteboard. Microsoft Teams Rooms knows it has the best audio, so it handles the audio visual experiences. So with a single touch, you're able to dial in both devices into a room. One of the devices then becomes your collaborative device, and the second one then becomes your great audio video experience. And this is what we call coordinated meetings. You set it up when you're creating the accounts and you tell the room that, hey, there's a Surface Hub permanently inside of this room, and it auto dials the hub or another MTR or multiple MTRs if you wanted to into this room. Now, we do get a lot of customers and a lot of resellers asking us questions about, hey, can I just wheel in a Surface Hub into the room and then use coordinated meetings? The answer is no, you can't. Coordinated meetings is designed when you have a permanent Surface Hub or a permanent secondary MTR inside of that room. If you're wheeling around a Surface Hub, that's where you would use proximity join. Proximity join is the ad hoc joining of a device. It uses Bluetooth beaconing. It'll know that it's near a Surface Hub, and the Surface Hub will say, hey, would you like me to join into the meeting? And you hit yes. So if you have customers that are limited on budget and have one Surface Hub across the whole kind of floor, in that scenario, it would be use proximity join to join in, and don't use coordinated meetings. But if you've got a large exec boardroom, like an EBC type of layout, and you have a Surface Hub that is completely kind of permanently fixtured there, coordinated meeting works really, really well across there. Now, of course, what we also want to do is bring in old school technology with new school technology. So I was at a customer yesterday, and this customer had 3 whiteboards, and I'm talking old school, non-digital analog whiteboards inside of their meeting room space. Now, if I'm sitting at home and I've joined into a meeting, and you're inside of a meeting room, and you get up and you start to pick up a dry white marker and start drawing on a board, you've already excluded me out of that meeting. There's no inclusiveness because I can't see what you're drawing on this whiteboard. With Microsoft Teams Rooms, we've now introduced, and to be honest, it's not now we've introduced, we've had it for quite a while, but we have what we call content cameras and intelligent capture. So with a whole range of certified cameras, Logitech Sync as an example, or Logitech Scribe, sorry, should I say, is one of the devices. You can have this camera pointed at a analog whiteboard. Now, when somebody gets up and starts doodling on this whiteboard, the cameras effectively digitize the ink and project it back into the meeting room space. If you walk in front of it, it effectively makes you into a ghost. You'll see it on the GIF across here as well. So it kind of sees through you. It's a surreal experience. You need to try it yourself. And if you haven't tried it or you haven't seen it in action, you can actually do this today and the next time you're on a Teams call. So on your desktop, the next time, don't do it on this call, but the next time you're on a Teams call, where you've got the share icon in the top right-hand corner, hit the share icon, and one of the options should say content camera. If you have a webcam, point it at a whiteboard you may have at home, or even a white piece of paper, and draw on it, and you'll see a very you'll see a similar thing experience happen, albeit on a smaller scale. Of course, in the Teams meeting room, we do it on a lot larger scale. So this is really about ensuring that we provide equality inside of a meeting room, whether you're using a digital canvas or you're using an analog canvas. If you use an analog canvas, we make it into digital. You can then copy that and bring it into your own digital canvas if you wanted to. And devices like the Logitech Scribe, for example, and I'm using the Logitech Scribe only because they've got a button which sits right next to the whiteboard. Just before you start doodling, you hit that button and it automatically kicks off the content camera. So it's super, super simple to use. Of course, we have other OEMs out there that provide these as well. Give us a shout, speak to Microsoft, and we can talk you through the different devices that are out there. Now, how else can we enhance meeting rooms? We can absolutely enhance meeting rooms by bringing in what we call intelligent speakers as well. So intelligent speakers are available in the States. They are coming this quarter to Europe, so we should be seeing them coming out anytime now. And the idea of an intelligent speaker is this speaker puck is designed to sit in the middle of a meeting room table. And what you would do as a user, you would use your Teams platform, and you read a paragraph. So you click speech recognition, and you read a paragraph, a brown lazy fox jumped over the fence, and it recognizes your voice, and it keeps your voice imprint on your tenant. When you walk into a meeting room, and there's 5 of you, and you start talking, that speaker can actually identify who you are and attach your name to that. So for example, if you are transcribing and you actually have in the meeting room notes will automatically come up, instead of it saying meeting room 101 is talking, regardless of who's actually talking, it will now identify the person that's talking there as well. We're seeing a lot of law, a lot of financial sectors. They're super, super interested in intelligent speakers right now, because it saves them the hassle of having to actually sit there and do meeting room notes as well. Now, the next thing I did want to talk to you about is probably one of my personal favorites. One of my personal favorites is Teams panels. And Teams panels sit on the outside of a room. Now, very basic. On the outside of the room, if you see a Teams panel, red LED means the room is busy. Green LED means the room is free. That's its most basic level, right? Of course, it has the calendar, so it shows what's happening and what's coming up, etc. But where we differ from the competition is we give the ability for customers to actually add line of business apps onto that Teams panel. Let me give you an example. You'll notice we've got a little catering app that's set up here. Now, if you ever see me in real life, I'm like the shortest guy alive. I'm definitely the shortest guy on my team. And back in the good days when I actually used to physically do meetings, if I needed to order breakfast, I would have had to run all the way down to reception, order the teas and coffees, run all the way back. My little legs takes 10 minutes to do that. Now I can step 2 steps outside of the room, hit the catering button, it brings up Microsoft Forms, I order what I want, and when I hit submit, it creates a workflow in the back end. So then catering receive it, they know exactly what needs to be done, they know the room, and hey presto, I get my breakfast straight away. You'll see we've got things like support. So IT administrators can have the ability for a user to report any issues in the room and for it to automatically initiate a ticket if you wanted to. Nearby rooms, a user can upload the floor plans of the building. And actually, if this room is busy, I can simply walk up and press nearby rooms, and it will show me all the rooms in the building that are free and available, and even give me walking directions on how I could get there. The sky's the limit. It's basically an Android device, but you would create an app the same way you would create an app on the Teams platform, on Windows as an example, as a Teams app, and then you can deploy it on a Teams panel. We're also bringing a few more functionality. So as you know, a lot of cameras inside of the rooms today already can count the amount of people inside of a meeting room. So if you set a meeting room to be a 4-person meeting room, when the 4th person walks in, it will flash on the inside of the room is at capacity, but also on the outside of the room as well. So obviously it's keeping people COVID safe. So we're not entering rooms, we're keeping distance, etc. We also are bringing another feature, which is what we call, well, internally we call it knock knock. I love that. Instead of me having to knock on the door, open the door, guys, sorry, I've got the room next, you need to vacate. Instead of doing that embarrassing thing, I can now hit that check-in or that knock knock button, and it sends an alert inside of the room, flashes up on the screen to say there's people waiting outside. One, it's less embarrassing. Two, it's COVID safe. You know, you don't want to be opening up a room full of people, especially if it's a smaller room. A lot of countries, a lot of customers want to air out rooms with windows and stuff before they bring in another one across there. Now, the best thing about Teams panels, if you attach a Teams panel to a room, an existing Microsoft Teams room, it shares the license. It shares the license of the room. So if you already have a Microsoft Teams room and you're paying a standard or a premium license, either one, and you attach a Teams panel on the outside, you're only paying for the cost of the device and the cost of deployment if you're charging for that as well. You're not paying for an additional license because it shares the license of the room. When we look at the competition out there, we look at the likes of Condeco, etc., great devices designed for different things, but you pay a monthly, yearly, annual subscription to go along with that. So from a total cost of ownership, a cost-saving exercise, Teams panels with Microsoft Teams rooms is a great investment, for customers to make and save themselves some money as well. So when you are talking about Teams rooms, always remember to talk about Teams panels on the outside of the room and the benefits that it brings, because that's the right time to talk about Teams panels, because the customer will be like, oh, so I don't have to pay any additional license? No, you don't. And the good thing is you don't have to have Crestron with a Crestron kit, Yealing with a Yealing kit. They're all kind of plug and play. They all work with each other. You sign in using the same username and password you have in the room, and away you go. It's as easy as that. Now, what I'd like to do is hand you over to Robert to just run us through some of our interop solutions. Robert.
And unmute as well. Yeah. So thank you, Mo. Great stuff that you presented. We know, of course, that the world is not just Teams meetings and Teams devices. There are other solutions and platforms, which means that there need to be ways of interacting with either sending out meeting invites that could be used by any other type of platform, or being able to join other platforms' meetings from your devices. So we have two solutions for this. It's the direct guest join and the cloud video interop. And looking at the different positioning of it is that the direct guest join is for those meetings that you might get invited to. And that's a joint collaboration between Microsoft, Zoom, and WebEx, and also soon to be released GoToMeeting and BlueJeans. And what we effectively are doing is that we are using the underlying infrastructure on the device. So we are spinning up a web join to those platforms. So if I get the link to the Zoom meeting or to the WebEx meeting, I just press join the same way as for Teams meeting, and then under the hood, the device will join that meeting with through WebRTC. The same way, the other way around. So a Zoom and a Cisco WebEx device will be able to join a Teams meeting the same way. And I think that's the main track, and this is today available on Teams on Windows, and we are working on also having the same experience coming to the Android-based platform. It will be a bit different technically underlying, but it will be delivered, and we are starting with the same vendors as we have for the Windows devices, Zoom and WebEx most probably, and then we're trying to expand on that as well. So as Michelle says, soon. I don't have any ETA, but as soon as possible. We know that this is a highly requested feature from our customers out there. The second way of interacting with other platforms is also that you can leverage the Cloud Video Interop platform. And that is a Microsoft built solution where we have partners and integrating. So what it essentially means is that when I send out an invite for a Teams meeting, I also have the credentials or the meeting details to join this meeting from a SIP-based solution. And that means that if I have another vendor's solution or platform, I can then just dial in those details and then enter this meeting from that platform as well. So this is like a bridge solution bridging other platforms into Teams meetings. And I know that we get a lot of questions about, could then you standardize on having other vendors' devices and having them joining us like native Teams devices, even though they're not Teams certified? And the answer from Microsoft is no. A Teams certified device is the best experience to be in a Teams meeting. A Teams certified device gives all the benefits that Mo just talked about of adding other components than just video, audio, and presentation. So that is required to have that best experience. Going through the cloud video interop or the direct guest join, that's a great way to have these meetings being joinable from different platforms, but is just for those like basic functionalities. So I think that's very important to say. To have the best Teams meetings experience, you should also doing that from a Teams client, either in a Teams room or from your personal device. That will leverage all the features that we're bringing. And then finally, I think it's also very important to talk about the security and ease of use in this case, and really telling the story that if you go into a Teams room, the end user should really think and experience that it's easy to go up and press the join button. It will work. I feel confident of doing that. And that will then give that experience of 5, 6, 7 seconds of just lighting up the meeting, the screen, the microphone, the speakers, everything just works. So that's what we would like to deliver. And doing that with a Teams certified room device is really built by Microsoft. The experience is built by Microsoft and designed for Teams. So the native app that we bring either on Android or Windows, it's built to deliver a predictable and familiar experience that is similar as possible, even though it's different use cases, as what you get from the desktop or mobile experience. I think that's very important to say that when we do this on a Teams Rooms device, it is something that we control, manage, and take care of, that will be the best experience in the room. And when and as we are finally returning to the office, it's also important to say that we are implementing these features, and Mo talked about the joining of your mobile as an example, to be able to control and have this companion experience. That is one way to make sure that the people joining rooms feel confident about that. They might not need even to touch the console. They can start the meeting, they could join and have other people joining as well from their companion device. And that is one way for us to really make sure that even in this post-pandemic world, we can still maintain the security features and the secure feeling for our customers to go into the office spaces and join meetings from those rooms. So ease of use, security measurements, of course, and making sure that this solution is updated and just works. I think that's the main thing here.
So for the next 45 minutes to an hour, we'll just go through the second half of our presentation with some time at the end for questions. Of course, I've seen a whole bunch of questions now popping up in the chat. Please do continue them. We've got Robert and we have Michelle hiding in the background. So we can go ahead and answer those questions for you. But to continue the presentation, let's now take a look at the types of devices that are available. So devices and experiences for any size or type of room. And that's one of the key things we wanted to do at Microsoft, is we know customers have a variety of different types of rooms. And then you couple on top of the different types of meeting room personas. So how do we ensure that we have different pieces of kit to suit different needs? And as resellers, as our valued MRPP partners, it's up to us to be able to go and recommend the correct devices based on the needs of that particular customer. So for us at Microsoft, what we try and do is try and simplify things as much as we can. So to start off with this particular slide, we kind of bucket our devices into 3 distinct bucket sets. We have, to start off with, on the right-hand side, what we call our all-in-one devices. And all-in-one devices are typically things like the Microsoft Surface Hub, where they come with cameras, mic, speakers, and Teams OS built in, and access to first-party and third-party apps as well. With all-in-ones, watch this space. There will be some new product sets coming a little later on this year. So there'll be a lot more than just Surface Hub and really fitting into the MTR space. I'm sure some of you guys may have already seen some announcements from partners like Yealink. Watch this space. We'll make some announcements in the months to come. In the middle, we have what we call our integrated solutions. And integrated are typically devices that are single units. So it's a camera, mic, speakers all built in. And typically they run on Microsoft Teams rooms on Android. So they have the Android platform, and then we put the MTR image that sits on top of it. Just like on Windows, we fully secure the device. There's not even a Google Play Store on these devices, but they're designed to be used in smaller spaces, so small to medium-sized rooms, but also very easy to install. A single HDMI cable, a power cable, a network cable is literally all you need to get these devices up and running. Now, I did spot a question about, does MTR support wireless touch controllers? On Windows, no. We use wired connections for that to ensure system stability. On Android, it can be wired, and in some cases can be wireless as well. It depends on which device you buy. And then by far the most popular here on the left-hand side, we have what we call our modular solutions. And modular is called modular because it has separate components, separate cameras, mic, speakers, and really designed to scale across different room sizes. And to kind of move into a bit more detail about these devices, you'll see, even though we split them into 3 distinct bucket sets, actually it's 2. You've got devices like the Surface Hub, which is an all singing, all dancing collaborative device. It's best in class when it comes to things like Microsoft whiteboarding. But again, it may be out of some customers' budgets. They're not the cheapest devices, we know that, but you can't find a better device out there compared to what Surface Hub actually does. And then, of course, on the left-hand side, we have our Microsoft Teams Rooms devices, be it integrated, albeit the modular solutions. And you'll see, of course, when we look at both devices, we have devices on Android and we have devices on Windows. So let's spend a couple of minutes just really talking about the Android side of things. So Android is relatively a new product category for us. It's I think it's just over a year, and Robert, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. It's about a year, just over a year old in terms of Android. So quite a new OS that we've implemented. But these are designed to be very, very easy to install. And as I mentioned earlier, it's like 3 cables to get the device up and running. Designed for those smaller spaces. We're seeing in this new hybrid way of working, a lot of customers are saying, hey, our biggest meeting rooms, we're now splitting up and making into multiple small meeting rooms to reduce the number of people inside of a room, or we have opened up more telephone booth type spaces. And that's where Teams Rooms and Android, or these integrated solutions, really, really come in. Couple the Teams Rooms on Android device or an integrated device with a touch screen, and you then have whiteboarding capabilities as well. And we'll talk about exactly where these devices kind of fit. They are also designed to be slightly cheaper than Windows devices, because remember, these are all-in-ones. If I was to add a drawback to having all-in-ones, the drawback, I would say, is probably the fact that it's cameras, mic, speakers all built in, and upgradability, you don't have that. With modular solutions, you're able to absolutely, upgrade peripherals as required. You'll notice there is a poll that's just popped up as well. So feel free to answer that, and we'll do a bit of a quiz for you guys in the end. Feel free to answer that, and then hit the submit button when you know the answer.
Oh, what we could say about them is, if just to avoid any confusion or to remember, because it was launched as collaboration bars, and that's like the Ignite fair. Was that almost 2.5 years ago?
Yeah.
So I mean, time flies in a pandemic world for sure, and so I actually think it was the collaboration bars that was launched with Yealink, the VC210, and the Poly X30 back in the days, and that's almost 2.5 years now.
Wow, yeah. The pandemic has completely messed up my sense of time, and probably the same for most people as well, right? So Teams Rooms and Android, and Teams Rooms and Android are growing a lot. So a lot of customers are super, super excited. And what the biggest advantage around these devices is the fact that a lot of customers, especially like EMEA type customers, global type customers, want to create standards across the board. So for their small to medium-sized rooms, they say, hey, look, go with this Android device. And then for the largest rooms, they'll go with Windows Modular. you can absolutely run Microsoft Teams Rooms on Android alongside Microsoft Teams Rooms on Windows in the same business. A lot of customers think you have to either go Android or go Windows. That is not the case. You can have both side by side if you really wanted to within a business. And then, of course, Windows. Windows has been around the longest. It's our bread and butter. It's our baby. Microsoft, we own the OS. We own the engineering. We're able to kind of ensure that we get the best features coming onto Windows. And as you will know, Windows generally gets the newest features straight away. Android will get it a little later on. Because with Android, the Android platform is owned by Google. We have to work with them. We have to work with OEMs to make sure we can bring all of these product features onto the Android platform. Whereas on Windows, we own the whole lot. And because we own it, we're able to bring it faster. Now, from a Microsoft standpoint, we're very close to feature parity. We're trying to ensure that Windows and Android are pretty much the same. Today, I would say 90, 94%, 95% of everything you would do is enabled on Android as it is in Windows. The GUI is the same as well. And we're getting closer and closer to ensure that features are the same on Windows as they are on Android. But realistically, I mean, we're a close-knit community here. Realistically, Windows generally will get the features first. So if you are killing up rooms for customers that are like EDCs, or you want the best rooms for the execs, the recommendation usually is go Windows, because Windows is that modular solution, but also you tend to get all the latest features. And most organizations, from a security and management point of view, would already have created policies to suit Windows as opposed to Android. Not to say Android is any more complicated, it isn't, but people are just more ready for Windows on those kind of large exec boardrooms. But we're seeing a huge increase in terms of Android as well in the smaller and medium-sized space. And then last but not least, of course, we have the Surface Hub. Now, Surface Hub does not sit with me and Robert. However, we do talk about it because it forms the wider story around Teams Rooms. And for you as MRPP partners, there's a lot of you that actually sell the Surface Hub, that are authorized to sell the Surface Hub. We always would recommend speak with us. We'll get you engaged with the Surface Hub teams, and then collectively we'll work on those opportunities. But Surface Hub can form an integral part of meeting rooms. And as I mentioned earlier on, Surface Hub with the Microsoft Teams Rooms is the best solution when it comes down to a meeting room space. You get the best of collaboration and you get the best of audio video using Microsoft Teams Rooms. As mentioned, it's an all-in-one Windows 10 device. In fact, it runs Windows 10 Teams Edition, so a specific version of the OS designed just for the Surface Hub. Available in a 55-inch and I believe a 86-inch version, goes up to like 25K. It's quite expensive. But it has a dedicated camera, mic, speakers, and an active pen. And you can even attach an APC battery pack to it to make it truly mobile if you wanted to. Again, it really comes down to the types of meetings that take place. Is it a department which does a lot of computer-aided design? If so, then potentially a Surface Hub could be a great option there alongside a Microsoft Teams Rooms device. Now, of course, we have OEM partners. Now, 2 years ago, we literally had 5, I think it was, and now we've got a whole range of them into double digits now. Android devices, Windows devices, and some new ones as well. So you would have heard Neat have just recently been certified. Jabra is coming on board soon. ePass audio codes as well. So a whole range of different devices out there. Of course, if your customers are interested, speak with Robert, speak with me, speak with your local partner account manager that looks after your country or you as an account. And we'll ensure that we'll plug you into the right guys and to the right team to talk you through it. But we have OEM manufacturers out there that create these devices that are certified and have invested thousands, if not millions of dollars into ensuring they provide the best products out there. But of course, there's a ton of different products, right? So which one is best suited for each room? But just before I move into that one, let me hand you over to Robert just to give a few words on this slide.
So a Teams Rooms solution is based out of a subset of components. Then it might be tailored into either a sound and video bar that contains everything, or in one device that also includes the display, or a separate component. Which means many times it's good to see it in this way as components, and many times we get the questions from partners and customers. Hey, can I build my own solution? Can I set up a Teams Rooms solution based out of this compute, that camera, that speaker? It might not be certified, or it might be to some extent certified as components. The actual compute part needs to be a certified device from our vendors that has done it as a Teams Rooms compute, which means that you can't just bring your old laptop and then put software on it and then use that as a foundation for your Teams Room solution. It needs to be that device that is tailored for this, because then we can control together with our manufacturers that it's updated, that is that level of the components of speed that is needed to be able to bring this experience to life in the room. So no, you can't bring your own solution based out of any compute. It needs to be that compute that we have certified. Sometimes you're using a touch screen console, or like for the Android devices, you also have the option, if you have a touch screen on the wall, you can use that one for interaction and starting your meetings and such. So there are different ways to build this, but there are certified devices that should be put together to get this experience fully done. To be able to do that and to support your customers, we have build outs, matrices where we are you as a partner to also visualize this, because many times it's easy to build standard solutions. This customer needs to have these 4 room types. What type of devices should we bring to that? What are the standard solutions that you as a partner could provide? So I think, Mo, going into those matrices, I think that's a good way to also to showcase how the partners then could build out their standard solution, the components that they have in their portfolio.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that brings me nicely onto this slide across here, and we absolutely love this. There's no real or right or wrong way to create meeting rooms, right? As long as you've got certified devices, but there's a bunch of considerations we need to take into account before we suggest or recommend devices to customers. It's what we call considerations for space considerations, right? So room variables. Normally, 9 times out of 10, you'll get customer come up to you and say, hey, Mr. Reseller, we have 3 buildings with 50 meeting rooms. Half of them are small, half of them are medium, and a handful are large. Quote me. That's usually the amount of information we get. I've been on the reseller side before. I know exactly what it's like. It can be challenging. What we all recommend for you as MRPP partners to do is we recommend for you to actually start diving down a little deeper to customers to try and identify the types of meetings that take place inside of that meeting room space, that meeting room persona that I was talking about earlier on. So as an example, in most organizations, we have all the different room types, which is the amount of information that we get. But then what types of meetings take place? Are they meet and present? Meet and present type meetings tend to be more formal. Audio video is the priority. You need to be able to be seen and be heard. Focus on presenting content. The biggest headaches we get from execs is, oh, I can't project onto the big screen. It doesn't work. The screen doesn't work. I can't present. It's horrible. Devices are typically fixed, allowing users to be seated. So a typical table, people around it. And then, of course, we have what we call meet and co-create as well. Meet and co-create is less formal. Co-creation and inking. So 3 or 4 people sitting in the same room, working on a single document, a single canvas to actually yield results at the end of it. They want access to personal files like whiteboarding, like Excel, like PowerPoint, etc. And devices can be mobile, they can be kind of moved around. So it's really important to ensure that, one, if a customer says, yeah, we're looking at a medium-sized meeting room, what types of meetings take place there? Are they meet and present, or are they meet and co-create? And then, of course, we're looking at the room size. Aligned to the room type is the room capacity. How many people that space is intended to accommodate? It's quite key. And the final room variable is the room dimensions, or the size of the room. How big is that room itself? 3 by 3, 2 by 3, 8 by 5, etc. Those are absolutely the questions we should be asking. Room type, room capacity, room dimensions, and of course, meeting room personas. And I know a lot of you guys have the ability to be able to sell through site surveys. That's the perfect moment to be able to talk about site surveys, to get out there to a customer site to actually identify it. Because remember, a lot of customers are unaware of what they need to do. Hybrid work is new for them, right? And they're looking for you for guidance. Now, when we take a look at different devices, we need to look at, well, what is the device capability? So us as resellers know the different types of devices that we sell. What is the device capability? Does it have co-creation? Is it great audio? Does it have audio fences? And what types of meetings and room sizes can the device support? And just to give you a bit of an example, let's pop one here up on the screen. This is by no means a 100% exactly what you should have. This is just a rough guidance. And a lot of customers, I mean, feel free to take a screenshot or create something similar like this for your organization that you can send to your customers to help them create standards for their meeting room spaces. Let's take an example of a large office. So a large exec's office, 2 to 3 meter radius, can see, between 1 and 3, 1 and 4 people. If that particular person generally just meets and presents and doesn't want to co-create, absolutely, MTR and Android or an integrated device will 100% do the job for them. Couple that with a touchscreen, you then get whiteboarding capabilities as well. However, if they want to coordinate and collaborate with others, maybe want to bring up Microsoft whiteboarding, want to bring up Word, Excel, PowerPoint, then potentially a Surface Hub could be a better option in that space. The 50-inch is perfect for a 2-3 meter radius. And if you've got budget, of course. When we move over onto the traditional meeting room spaces, so like a small all the way up to extra large meeting rooms, you'll notice modular Microsoft Teams rooms devices tend to be king across here. Because of its scalability and flexibility across room sizes, no two rooms are alike. Every room is awkward in terms of lighting, in terms of acoustics, in terms of the size or the shape of the room. And modular solutions give you the flexibility as a partner to be able to have some flexibility to move cameras, speakers, etc. around. And as I mentioned earlier on, the very best of a meeting room is actually a combination of both devices by having Surface Hub and a Microsoft Teams Rooms device. Now, remember, with integrated devices, yes, generally they're for small to medium-sized rooms, but OEMs are starting to create even larger devices that in some cases may get certified for larger rooms as well. So they're getting, the line is getting blurred, it's getting closer and closer. But again, top recommended types of devices, not manufacturers, but types of devices based around meeting room personas and room types across here as well. So hopefully that's been really useful for you. We will be sharing the deck and stuff with you guys a little later on as well. So you'll have the ability to be able to, screenshot this if you wish for your customers as well. But of course, once we've picked out the types of rooms and the types of devices, the next biggest question that comes over to our customers is really about security and management. And with that, I'm going to hand you over to Robert, and Robert will talk you through this section.
So we really know that the best meeting experience, it starts behind the scenes, so that you have a strong security and operations posture that helps ensure the health of the room. And we are providing different solutions for this on how to manage the devices so that the customer can select what type of solution that works best for them. It could either be self-management so that the customer have the capability and capacity to manage and take care of their own room solutions. It could be through delegated access so that you as a partner could be the one that helps the customer make sure that the rooms are operational. And it can also be through the managed service from Microsoft, where the premium license, we will just in a bit talk about licenses, but the premium license is also the entry point to be able to enroll the devices from a customer to that managed service and then have a fully managed solution that brings updates, health, tickets, and also diagnostics on the full rollout for a customer, or a few rooms if that's what the customer needs. So there's a lot of different ways to do this, but no matter what type of management the customer would like, all Teams certified devices, Teams Rooms devices, they are certified through testing and validation processes that are operated by third-party providers. So we have labs doing these testings for us on our behalf, making sure that there are, they are doing this on the standards set by Microsoft, but also being outside of Microsoft, making sure that all these devices are treated the same protocols with the same third-party labs doing this to make sure that we meet these standards together with our partners. The Teams Rooms device itself, the Windows-based solution, that's also based out of a Windows IoT version, which by itself is a lockdown version, which also makes sure that we can control this even better, having that experience of being a solution and a I would say resource device and not a user device that you treat like a PC. The resource account is also used to set this up. It's not a regular user account, it's a resource account with the different ways of managing this. So the tool set that you have as a partner is very, very good to be able to support your customers and to bring your capabilities of management, putting together services, making it a managed service, no matter if it's based out of a Teams admin center or if it's based out of the managed service solution. So we're really using all the tools here to bring individual settings for the customers. The Teams Rooms app itself, it's also a lockdown version based out of the Windows operating system, which means that we control it. We send out the updates when we think it's necessary to do an update. The device itself, it also restarts. So every night, 2 o'clock, 2:30, the device will be restarted. And if there's any updates that is out there, it will be downloaded and then applied. That is to make sure that the device always is on the latest updated version, and that will also clean out the cache and make sure that in the morning when people start coming into the office again, it will be a fresh restart for a restarted device. So that's also something that we tailor in the actual foundation here. So it's nothing that the customer needs to take care of, it's just built into the platform. And of course, if the customer would like to treat this device as something that they would like to manage, that is also possible. But to just guide your customers that don't apply the same settings and rules as they do for a PC, because that's not the way to treat them. They should treat this as an appliance. But this is things that we will come back to in the more technical sessions and going through deeper into management, deeper into licensing and stuff. We have some requirements as well, and they are quite generic. It's not the deep dive session here today. This is a sales training session. So use, of course, a certified Teams room system if you're going to use Teams in the best way in a meeting room. That's the way that we see it. Make sure that the peripherals, the device that's connected to this compute part, either on Android or on Windows, also are updated to those versions. And if the device from the customer is in the managed service solution, we can also make sure that we take care of a lot of these peripherals. Otherwise, use the vendor's own portals to make sure that also the peripherals are updated. The device should be wired, connected to the internet. It should not be using wireless connection. Even though some devices support wireless connection, it's not the recommendation from Microsoft. And we support dual screen solutions, both for Android and for Windows. And we know that many displays are 4K, but then we should also make sure that they are running 1080p instead, so that we're not mixing that. But that could be sometimes be something that could be needed to have some extra care about, making sure that we have the right settings on these displays or having the right components in between, making sure that we're connecting them in the best way between the compute and the device. And you don't need to use a keyboard and a mouse, but when doing separate installments of devices, it could be a good way to also to interact with the device, connecting a USB connected keyboard and mouse when doing the setup and doing the first installments. And we do support Skype for Business, and the device can be set up either as a Skype, Teams, or mixed Skype and Teams solution. So we can use the same devices no matter if it's a Skype-based solution that the customer have or they have moved fully onto Teams. Then, of course, there are different settings, and that's something that we will go through in the technical sessions, depending on the connection that you're doing from the device to the actual platform, if it's Skype or Teams. And you also could support Exchange either online or on-prem or a mix of that. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things that we will cover in the more deep dive sessions. But the device itself, the platform, even though it's called Teams Rooms devices, it still supports Skype for Business as well. And also, you can do different settings depending on network. And networking is one of the things that we will really deep dive on in the coming session, because having the right settings and also making sure that your customers' networks are designed to handle real-time data and not just chats and emails is very, very important, of course, and making sure that the traffic is flowing without getting into constraints from proxies or other security measurements that inspecting the actual packages, because we are encrypting the traffic and we're making sure that this is handled the same way as all other Microsoft 365 traffic. But sometimes this is a discussion that you need to take with the customer, because they might not have designed their network for real-time data. They might have designed it for something else when starting to use Microsoft 365 services. But as this is a very interesting and a topic that we would like to deep dive on, we should not make this too complex today, I would say, but make sure that you tune in for the coming technical sessions and also the boot camps that we'll having a bit later on in April. Make sure that you're tuning into those, because that will be a great source for information as well. Mo, would you like to talk a bit about the licensing and how that's connected then into the management portals?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And just reiterating what Robert was saying, that last part was just the basics around what's required to have, Teams rooms on your network. And we need to, from a sales point of view, we need to make sure that the customer has the base level. If they've got the base level, then you're good to go to continue the conversation. If not, then we need to speak with Microsoft to see if we can help them move. But we'll have, as Robert mentioned, we'll have a deeper dive during our technical sessions. And we'll go way technical into all of that side. So we've had a look at devices. We've had a look at the features. We've had a look at hybrid work and where these devices become very inclusive and how we recommend devices to our customers. And the last part of the puzzle is how do we license devices? So whether you are taking out Microsoft Teams Rooms on Android, Windows, or Surface Hub, you do need to license the device. And we at Microsoft, we have two different licenses made available. We have Teams Rooms Standard license, and we have what we call a Teams Rooms Premium license. And effectively, in terms of pricing, this is what you'll see. It's roughly around the $15 a month for a standard license. The pricing will vary based on local market, based on whether they're EA customer with Microsoft. It may be 12 euros, it may be less, it may be, but 15 is the max. That's the going rate across the globe. Now, if a customer decides to take out Teams Rooms Standard as a license, they then have access to the Microsoft Teams Admin Center. Any device that is added onto the network automatically gets enrolled onto the Teams Rooms Admin Center, or TAC for sure. And of course, within the Teams Admin Center, you have the ability to pretty much manage devices to your heart's content. So you can see, which devices are connected. You can see if any are, disconnected or not working. You can bring up call quality analytics. You can push out updates if they're made available. But it does sit within Teams Admin Center, which means it's the one place where you can manage anything to do with Teams. And what we now do is we now split out rooms on Windows, rooms on Android, and also rooms with Surface Hub in there. So we try and make it as easy as possible. Now, as a customer, if a customer wants to manage devices themselves, then absolutely taking out a Teams Room Standard license is perfect for them. Take out Teams Room Standard, they can then go ahead and manage devices themselves. But what if the customer does not want to manage devices? Maybe does not have the resource or the manpower to manage devices. That's where Teams Rooms Premium comes in. And it's priced around the $50 a month mark, call it £38 thereabouts, or 30, 34, 35 euros. That's where Teams Rooms Premium comes in. And with Teams Rooms Premium, Microsoft actually manage devices for you. So what we do is we actually provide what we call a proactive management service. So when we're registering these devices onto the premium service, we actually add little agents that sit on the Microsoft Teams Rooms devices. And these agents will provide real-time monitoring of the devices and the peripherals that the device has connected to it. What we do differently from all the other managed services out there is we are proactive. So we identify problems even before the customer identifies the problem, and we'll issue a fix even before the customer knows that there's a problem. Let me give you an example. We had a global customer not too long ago, it was actually last summer, and this global customer's networking team decided to push out a time server change. Now, just like most large companies, departments don't talk to each other. So networking don't really talk to facilities that manage the rooms. So in a reactive model, like a normal managed service that's available from partners as well as other service providers out there, well, as soon as that networking team pushes out that time server change, it automatically signs out all the devices if they're not auto-configured. And we've known this from the past. As soon as the end user walks into the room and sees that the device is signed out, the first thing they do is they call up IT. IT then go to the room, start messing about with cables to try and figure out what the fault is. Doesn't know what the problem is because networking don't talk to facilities. So then they raise a ticket into OEM or into Microsoft, and it could be days, it could be weeks before they actually figure out what the fault is. That's a reactive model. In a proactive model, like Premium, the AI, the agent, conducts 24/7 monitoring of all the rooms. As soon as we detect that time server change being pushed, we auto-remediate all devices on the network that are on the Premium service. Because we've had experience and history with Link, with Skype for Business, with MSN Messenger back in the day. So we know all the most common faults and common misconfigurations out there. So as soon as that AI detects the time server change, we auto-remediate all the devices. The user walks into the room and does not even know that there is a problem. We then, of course, send a message over to the partner or the customer to say, hey, we identified the problem, we fixed the problem, this is how you would avoid it in the future. And as an example, this slide here shows what the portal does look like. You'll see across here, we've got a new BIOS version made available. We've automatically assigned it to Microsoft. We'll apply the update, no action required. But in some cases, if human interaction is required, so let's imagine the cleaner came in the night before and unplugged one of the cameras. At that point, we don't provide men on the ground. We don't provide people on the ground. We only provide a virtual service. So what partners can do is partners can actually take advantage of Microsoft Teams Rooms Premium. So a customer can assign you as an MRPP partner with a managed service onto the premium service, which means what Microsoft will do is not only do we alert the customer, we alert you as the managed service provider to say, hey, look, this customer in room 101 has the camera unplugged. You need to go in and you need to plug it back in. If we detect a fault, we'll even, if we can't fix it ourselves, if we need somebody to physically go in and do it, we'll actually tell you how to fix it. So you can see across here, we found a multi-factor authentication error that's popped up. And we want to be able to, say, hey, we found this problem. This is how you would fix it, etc. So Teams Rooms Premium is really designed to give that ease of mind, that peace of mind. And from a partner perspective, you do have the ability to work with Microsoft to ensure that we provide a joint up solution. It's not designed to take away your own managed service. It's designed to work better together. So please do reach out to your partner account manager if you are interested in how do we link up Premium with your own managed services if you offer it, and we'll be happy to have that conversation with you. So in a nutshell, before I hand over to Robert, in a nutshell, if a customer wants to manage devices themselves, they can just take out Teams Room Standard and manage devices using the Teams Admin Center. If a customer wants Microsoft to manage devices, that's when you take out Premium. And remember, Premium does much more than just management. Premium also gives you the ability, for example, to do things like create update rings. So if you're worried about staggered updates, if you want to stagger your updates for Teams Rooms, on the Premium service, we give you some additional features where you can create update rings for your MTLs that are deployed within an organization. So do reach out to us. We'll be happy to give you a lot more information about Premium. And let me hand you over to Robert to talk you through the last part of our presentation.
Thank you so much. And we're going to finish off with just defining the market and also defining some of the opportunities out there for you as a partner, and just giving some figures saying that, and I think that we're all aware, getting video and collaboration tools into the offices, that's on a very high importance for our customers out there. They really prioritize to video enable a lot of more meeting rooms than before. And what we have seen in studies is that the growth rate pre-pandemic compared to now is like 5 times the amount of rooms that should be video enabled, because we come back with so many other ways of working, experiences, and also demands for technology when coming back to the office than before, so that we also need to adapt to that. And a lot of these rooms that we have out there are also USB enabled rooms, not Teams meeting rooms, which also brings the difference of use case, the difference of experience compared to many times what the employees would like to have. So that's also one thing. In one of the previous slides, we also talked about the rooms not equipped with good enough devices or good enough experience. I think that figure was about 93% when we talk to our customers. So we do a survey each year when we talk to like 31,000 people from 30 countries, and using that as a foundation then for different strategies and how to approach the market. And one of the figures that we used was that when we talked to them, 93% of the available rooms for these customers are not equipped with the right type of solutions or devices that will bring this experience to them. So the opportunity for you as a partner is out there, for us as a vendor is out there, for our partners in the ecosystem. We need to just find a way on how to define this and how to make our own best out of this, and to bring that portfolio of devices and solutions that suits your needs as a partner to be able to support your customers. And we see it from at least 3 different angles. And with this innovation that we've had in the platform, with the new devices coming out from our vendors, that really brings us to have the best experience from a platform and device perspective. So selling these devices, that is a great way to interact with your customers, of course. But it's just one thing. And I think it's important also to evaluate and to rethink if you also can play a part with talking about licensing for your customers, and taking perhaps that business into you if you haven't been doing that before. Because I think many times that also brings the value of you as a partner being even more interacting with your customers and having more things to talk about with them. So doing the licensing part, either direct or indirect through your disties, is a great way to evolve on the partnerships with your customers. And then also think about how to make services out of this, how to use the managed service partner as a partner to Microsoft, as an example, to incorporate that into your managed service offering, and also to be the person who's running the floor with the customers and not disconnecting, connecting the cables in the room that has been disconnected, and using that also power that you might have with your customer to support them on site in combination with other services. So rethink, use us as a discussion partner to think about this. We have a lot of experience in these discussions onto how to think about building your practice and how to be the best partner for your customers out there. So there's a lot of building blocks that I think many times you can expand on and continue to build on. And just one way of looking at that is also to bring it a bit more into details, talking about the different devices, the revenue that you might have from the licenses, and then building different programs around managed service, professional services. And one thing that I always find very, very much underutilized, I would say, is the adoption part. Not just sell the devices, not just install them with a customer, but actually also go out and teach them, and to be that partner that can really make the customer use the investment that they have done. And as Microsoft now delivers updates monthly, instead of quarterly, and then we had a server version that was like running for 3 years, and then with minor updates every quarter. Now we have monthly updates with new features, new solutions coming out. And being that trusted advisor for your customer, that's a valuable asset for you to also utilize on, to bring that knowledge that you have, because for many customers, it's hard to keep track of whatever features that we are bringing together with our partners that will give even more value to the investment that they have done. So I think that's also something to consider on how to be that adoption partner and to move with the customers also after having this implemented. So getting into the final minutes, and soon we're top of the hour. We'd also just like to give you some assets to, or go-dos also to go and get. So firstly, I guess you all heard about the Solution Sales Professional Badge. That's the sales badge that we launched last year. Moving on, of course, into this year and moving along going forward. If you haven't taken that one, go to Expert Zone, create an account, go take the training, and then take the test or exam, and you will get the Solution Sales Professional Badge. That's a tongue twister for me, at least. Display that on LinkedIn. Display that as an asset that you have taken that exam and that you're educated together with Microsoft on Teams rooms as a solution. After the bootcamps has been done late April, we'll also release a tech version of this, which is the next iteration. More technical, of course, more deep dive into the different aspects of implementing, managing, taking care of devices. But that's also a great badge to have and to display to your customers. So go get that one as well. Then there's also a lot of partner assets, and you will have the slides later on, so you can go to these that are giving you the material to go talk to your customers regarding, in this case, bring your own device, compared to having a client-based solution. There's also learning paths. So if you would like, as an example, go get the MS700 certification, one of the things there that's very important is to get trained, and to that there are learning paths, and there's also a learning path for the Teams Room solutions. It's a bit more narrow. It's not as wide as the MS700, but it's a great way to get more educated and to get more skilled. And also to join the community. There's a great Yammer community for partners. It's only open for partners. Get there, sign up for it. We post a lot of good links there for training, for the boot camps, but marketing material, a lot of things will be posted on those Yammer sites, but also the conversations that we have there, because we have people from marketing, from engineering, and a lot of other partners having a great conversation regarding what you're experiencing with the customer, asking things, when will this feature perhaps come, or whatever. Go and sign up for the partner community. I think that's a great way to get more educated as well. And finally, we also have the registration links. It says upcoming because we have started. We have just released the 2 first ones, but we also have 2 more to go. The 2 that have been already done, they will also be available, of course, as download or on-the-go versions. So we're just processing them and getting everything done with texting and such, and then they will be made available as such. So go sign up for that and get educated. So Mo, I think that's the almost the last slide, right? We have one more.
One more slide.
One more slide, and we are like just a few minutes on from the top of the hour. So we would like to have your feedback. This is our first session in this sales and technical skilling for the EMEA partners. We're loving the conversation in the chat. We love that you have been interacting with us. Thank you so much for that. Next time we'll do a technical version of this in 2 weeks. Please sign up for that as well if you haven't done that. But also, give us feedback. What would you like to listen to more? What should you do for the next sales session, so that we are not just doing this once more? Give us feedback. Tell us what you like, and I'm so happy to have this kicked off, Mo.
Absolutely. And just to add, remember, this is a PowerPoint live session, which means the link on screen is a live link. You can click that link. I've also dropped it in chat for you. I know I'm surprised no one's asked the question, when can we get hold of the presentation? Usually we get about 1 million of those questions. No one's asked it. Great, thank you. But on that form, there is a link that takes you to what we call our Teams Toolbox. The Teams Toolbox is a special area made for our MRPP partners only. And here we will be hosting pretty much anything that is useful, from presentations to videos, to literally everything that will help you sell through Microsoft Teams Rooms devices. So make sure you bookmark the link, the Teams Toolbox. You will find a copy of this presentation and also the video for this presentation hosted on the Teams Toolbox. And use the feedback form. Let us know if we're missing anything. Let us know if there's something you'd like to learn about more. The sky's the limit. Ask us anything you want. And between me, Robert, and Michelle, we will work out how we answer your questions. Remember, this is all part of Project Sirius. Sirius is the brightest star in the night sky. We want EMEA to be the brightest star in the night sky. And we can only do that with your help. So with that in mind, again, I'd like to thank you all for joining, and please do feedback to us, and enjoy the rest of your days, and we shall see you on the next call. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.